So you might look at this and say, is the solution just to completely design cities from scratch? But I think this is dangerous. I took this picture in Brasilia. This was the capital of Brazil, built in the 1960s. And it was the butt of many jokes, because people said when they saw this, Brazil is going to be is the country of the future, and it always will be. And if you've ever seen this city, it's actually built in the shape of an aeroplane. The idea, because this was a kind of a social democracy, was that anyone, whether they were the president or a clerk, should all be treated the same. So at the head of the aeroplane, the cockpit, was the presidential offices. Then down the wings was the accommodations, and all the ministries were on the fuselage. How long do you think that lasted for? It was about 2 months, and then all the rich people moved out by the lake. So the only people living in Brasilia now are politicians and cult members. So the Brazilians have learned something about this, that you don't build perfect cities anymore. What you do is, rather than designing paradise, is you find clever ways to manage hell. And I saw an amazing example of this when I went to Rio. This is Rio's new command center. It was built by IBM a couple of years ago. This is the largest screen, actually, in Latin America. And the day I visited, there was kind of, excited chaos, because a building had collapsed in downtown Rio from the rains. And people were clustered around these gigantic screens. And these people in white coats were using, like Minority Report, pulling icons of emergency ambulances and response units, and then turning around the scene in 3D, of the collapsed building, and actually using this command center, which had, people there from fire, police department, all the municipal departments, allowing them to respond as an integrated unit to something in real time. And I was amazed by this, because this to me was the future of the city. The future of the city command, and the ability to be able to almost treat your city as if it was a video game. So for me, here's the summary. The city, I believe, is going to remain humanity's primary cluster. But increasingly, as it becomes more urbanized, it's going to challenge governments to find sustainable solutions that scale with hyperdensity. So something I would put to you to consider in the future is, how could you upgrade your city's operations command with real-time feeds, data visualizations, and cross-functional response teams? And then use that information to start looking for patterns in the noise. This, to me, is the key to how we start to reinvent the way our cities operate. And a final mind grenade on this point. If you were designing your city as a video game, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe ask your kids, what outcomes would you reward? In other words, what is this city to be optimized around?